What's up? Nick Hilton here with Mountain Bike Action, and in this video, we are reviewing the Status 2 170 from Specialized. Now, before we get into the review, I want to mention this bike comes in sizes S1 through S5, and I am riding the S2. So the Status 2 is made out of M5 aluminum. It's got 170 millimeters of travel, front and rear, and it's got a pretty aggressive geometry. This bike is designed to be ridden anywhere, to be simple, and to take some abuse. On the front, we've got a Fox Float 38 Rhythm fork. We've got a rebound adjustment. We've got the compression adjustment. And on the rear, we have a Fox DHX Performance shock. The S2 comes with a 400-pound spring, which seems to be pretty good for my weight. I'm 145 pounds. On this shock, we've got a rebound adjustment. We've got a lever that you can switch from firm to soft. And then we've got the preload adjustment for dialing in your sag. So to complement this bike's aggressive geometry, we've got a mullet setup here. We've got a 29-inch wheel in the front and a 27.5 wheel in the back. Both tires are equipped with Specialized's Butcher tires with a trail casing in the front and a beefier DH casing in the back. And there's also a flip chip down here next to the rear axle. The flip chip has a high and low position for adjusting the geometry of the bike. The bike ships in the high position, and that's what I have been riding it in. If you switch it to the low position, it's gonna rake the fork out a little bit more and lower the bottom bracket. This would be good for riding extremely steep and technical terrain, big free ride jumps, that really aggressive riding. The Status 2 is equipped with a Shimano Deore 12-speed drivetrain, and it's got TRP Trail Evo brakes. Both the front and rear rotors are 203 millimeters, so you've got plenty of stopping power. We've also got a dropper seat post. We've got this little water bottle cage, and we've got some Deity lock-on grips to top it all off. Now, I will say with this water bottle cage, with this size frame, you can't fit a very big water bottle in it. All the water bottles that I own, they actually hit the suspension right here, so I haven't been riding with a water bottle. And I almost forgot, right here we've got the SWAT hidden multi-tool. Super cool, right there in the steer tube. Now, out of the box, this thing comes pretty ready to go. I just had to put on the front wheel and the bars and do a couple little shift adjustments, but otherwise it was pretty ready to rip. I was actually surprised the suspension for my weight, the sag was pretty spot on, and the bike felt really balanced coming out of the box. All right, let's get into how this thing rides. And we'll start with climbing. Climbing on this bike, it's not the easiest bike to climb. It's definitely not designed to be a fast climber, but I'm still pleasantly surprised at how well it does. When you set the shock to the firm setting, you don't actually lose a ton of power to the suspension when going uphill, which is super nice. But the overall weight of this bike paired with the aggressive tires, it's definitely slow on the climbs. It feels like you're putting in a ton of input and not getting a lot of output. Like you're pedaling, and you're just not really going anywhere. With that said though, if you're willing to put in the work, this bike will take you where you want to go. Now, as for descending on the Status 2, my very first impression, I was a little disappointed because the trails that I was riding, they start out a little more mellow, a little slower, and this bike feels so sluggish on those more mellow parts of trail. Especially once you get into like some tighter turns, you feel the size of the bike. It doesn't feel very nimble in those kind of sections, and on the flat and kind of more mellow downhill, there's not a lot of rolling speed. So that was a little disappointing. But then once the trails got steeper and more flowy, that's when I realized how fun this bike is. when you've got the speed and the pace, you start feeling how playful this geometry is and how well the suspension handles the little bumps and jumps. And overall, it's a great descending bike if you've got trails that carry speed. Overall, I think this bike is really fun. And for $3,500, I think it's a great value. With 170 millimeters of travel, it's expected that it's not gonna climb that well. It's expected that on the more mellow parts of trail, it's gonna feel kind of slow. But when you really get into more fun and unique terrain, this bike can handle it, and it's a lot of fun. So if you're someone who wants to spend some time going downhill, rip bike park laps, do some free riding, but still be able to go climb and explore your local trails, then I think it's a bike worth looking into. All right, that is my review of the Specialized Status 2 170. Hope you like it. See you in the next video.